Good morning, everybody, and I'm happy to share with you a few thoughts about a very peculiar form of entrepreneurship, that is social entrepreneurship. As you know, individuals starting their own business do so for different motivations. Someone just wants to be the boss of its own. Someone wants probably to make a lot of money. Some other are animated by a social purpose. That is, they want to help or to contribute to solve a social problem. A specific kind of entrepreneurs will try to combine a business model, a business logic, with this attempt to achieve a social goal. And here is social entrepreneurship. And in the spectrum of entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship has a very specific role and position. If we look at the so-called spectrum of hybridity, the spectrum that goes from traditional mainstream for-profit organization to charities, or strictly speaking, no-profit organization, social enterprises are more or less right in the middle of the spectrum. That means that the purpose, the social purpose, and the business orientation would coexist. And at the end of the day, the difficult part of this story is a so-called act of balance, namely balancing the business orientation and the purpose and the attempt to contribute to the social good. What is, technically speaking, a social enterprise? A social enterprise is an entity that is very clear from a substantial point of view. Formally, it can take very different forms in very different legislations across the world. For example, we have in these different articulations a certain number of characteristics, of common features. The first one is of course purpose, and if you want, the prevalence of purpose over profit as an ambition of the entrepreneur. The second is that very often you will try in the bylaws of the company a very clear, explicit reference to the social mission and to the social purpose. Very often, social enterprise will produce an annual report, an yearly report with a clear statement and measurement of the social impact that they have been able to deliver. And perhaps the most important, substantial and common feature is the so-called profit lock. It's not given that a social enterprise would not share the profit with its so-called shareholders. The problem is that very often you have a lock, you have a cap to this profit sharing or even dividend, if you want. So we are not in the realm of no-profit. We are, strictly speaking, in the not-for-profit organization model. That means that the main ambition is not profit, the main purpose of the company is not profit, but there may be some profit, and this profit can be shared with shareholders. So we have this very complex act of balance, and the idea, the purpose, the intention is to leverage the potential of market logic and business logics in order to pursue a clear social mission. social entrepreneurship is an entrepreneurial concept that we have been familiar with since very, very many years. But social entrepreneurship is, in the recent years, undergoing a very deep and important transformation. And the transformation is characterized by three things that I would like to mention with you. The first thing is so-called managerial structuration. Social entrepreneurship is historically very much related and tied in with the nature of the entrepreneur, right? It is the idea, the spirit, the values of the entrepreneur that define the social enterprise. And sometimes this has resulted in very fragile organizational structure. What's happening now is that many social enterprises are pursuing managerial structuration. That means bringing in competencies from management, from finance, so skills that would allow the social enterprise to be managed in a more business-oriented way and in a more solid way. This is the first transformation. The second transformation is, in my opinion, the most important, that is technological intensity. Technological intensity is the fact that social enterprises are usually and historically, and by definition, if you want, labor-intensive organization. And if you look back past 50 years probably, the adoption of technology, also very simple technology, has not been very popular among social entrepreneurs. Now things are changing. The reason is that technologies are becoming commodity. That means that certain technologies are very cheap, very easy to adopt, and so it is feasible that social enterprise start using, for example, digital technologies in order to improve their delivery of social good and even to scale the social impact that they are able to deliver. This has a consequence, of course. First, that it turns a labor-intensive organization into a capital-intensive organization, and it can be somehow problematic. The second is that it makes the social enterprise, the social business, quite attractive and sometimes more profitable. And this has a third consequence that I would like to mention. On the one side, the fact that the social business becomes more attractive because of the efficiency that is brought in by technology makes the social enterprise more attractive for investors. If you want, for a specific kind of investor that would combine on its own account a social purpose and a desire for financial returns. On the other side, the adoption of technology, making the organization more capital intensive, will probably create an appetite for finance in social enterprises. And this can be a very interesting opportunity of development. On one side, the adoption of technology makes the social enterprise more attractive for financial investors or for impact-oriented financial investors. On the other side, it develops an appetite for finance in social enterprises. And I think that this match is very important, and that public policies and incubators and accelerators should work very hard to facilitate this match between demand for financial resources and supply of financial resources. And of course, this will make social enterprises more effective and more powerful in delivering their social impact. finally, my last comment would be about finance itself. Social enterprises are there to scale. Scaling is different from growth. Growth is when you grow your revenues or the number of your employees. Scaling is instead when you're able to reach more beneficiaries or to improve the kind of services you are offering to your beneficiaries. So sometimes scaling is an imperative. You have a good solution, you want to reach as many beneficiaries as possible. Now, when we talk about scaling, this can become problematic for social enterprises. And historically, one of the problems that social entrepreneurship has experienced is a lack of growth and scale, most importantly, due to the fact that they had a bad relationship with financial investors and finance. So you will see in the past very few social enterprises that were capitalized so that it would allow an important rate of growth and scaling. Therefore, I think that the last characteristic that a social enterprise should aim for is some kind of financial intensity. More finance in order to support both growth and social impact. Thank you very much.